asking us for years to get kind of the same level of refactoring support that we have in C#. And with the power of Roslyn and Visual Studio 2015, actually we have that now. So I have here an example of computing the area of a circle. And if I just wanted to create an explaining variable to say, hey, what is arg0 in this case? Well, I know it's the radius, but it may be difficult for someone who's maintaining the program. I can just right-click it and go to Quick Actions and introduce a local for CW. And you see that there's now a preview that pops up that shows you kind of what the refactoring is going to do, what it looks like now, before and after. And I just do that. I actually do that for all occurrences, so it'll pick up all of them. And it puts me right into an inliner name session. And I name that radius. And there, the area of a circle is pi times the radius times the radius.
So it's interesting, a lot of the code improvements are, in both VB and C# are to get you to write less code. And here you're showing me an enhancement that incents me to write more code. So how did you kind of weigh those two?
So a lot of that was driven by just customer scenarios, talking to customers, seeing the common actions that people do. They write a piece of code and they say, well, that looks kind of complicated. What is it really happening? Or in this example, it becomes brittle because I've written out radius in 3 different places. And so there's really code duplication at that point.
Okay.
So by introducing this extra variable, I'm making my code more maintainable and reducing the number of places I would have to update if I decided all of a sudden that I wanted to use, I don't know, the diameter or something. So that's the kind of the thing there. We've also got this great extract method feature where I could say if I wanted to take that and put that into a method somewhere, I can go back to Quick Actions after selecting it, say extract method, and the IDE is actually smart enough to kind of look at the context around what's going on. It's saying you're assigning it to this variable called circle area. Maybe a reasonable name to start out with is get circle area. So given a radius, what would that be? And I'm just able to just invoke that, and voila, now I have this extracted method. It's a really, really smart feature. It actually understands how to do conflict resolutions if you find out that you're kind of using this as a name. So let's say I wanted to instead just call that, well, Visual Basic is case insensitive, and it kind of recognizes that now there's a conflict between the local variable and the name of this method, and so it fully qualifies it so that there's no issue there. So we try to make it where it's always safe to use the tooling, and if it's not, that we inform you. And the second,
do I have the ability to extract method into a separate class or somewhere outside of that code?
To be honest, I think, I don't know actually. We've been working on a move method thing, so trying to take it as 2 steps. The first one is to kind of pull it out into the extra context, and then to move it somewhere else is a more complicated operation. I know with our generate from usage feature, we do allow you to target a different class or type in a different file, but we've generally found for extract method that it's more common that people want to extract into the containing type, a helper function.
It's a tough balance, right? You're typing away, you press Control Dot, or you do the quick action menu. Do you want to be presented with 20 options to do every possible thing you might want to do, or do you want to be presented just with the ones you actually are important to you right now?
Yeah.
So we've had this difficult tension. I'm not sure if we've got it right, but we have got it right in most places.
And certainly that's a place where customer feedback is appreciated. If there's something we can do to tweak it to make it more productive, by all means, let us know. So while I'm in here, there are just all these tiny little great improvements. We talk about we're now classifying. We give colorization inside of the quick info. It's no longer this bland black and white text. We kind of show you when things are unnecessary for some reason. But kind of one of my favorites, for years, I've been trying to figure out what things are referenced because sometimes I'm missing an assembly reference. Visual Basic developers have repeatedly told us, hey, could you make that references node visible? Because I'm walking through something, I need to add a reference, and I can't tell what's there because we have this project properties dialog for VB. Well, with this release, finally, we added the node back. We kind of took it away in 2005 to kind of simplify things, but since then, more scenarios have appeared where people have really needed it. So we unhid it so you don't have to show all files, and you can actually show that. Which actually kind of brings us...
What that means to me is I manage NuGet references like on a daily basis. Right-click on the references node, manage NuGet is where I want to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm really delighted about that.
Super excited. this guy. Really, that's how we measure the success of the release. We just kind of go in Illusion's office and we just run down things. And like, if he ever like stops grinning, we know we need to go back to work. But when he just passes out, we know, all right, ship it. Actually, another valuable thing about this references node is that we've now added a subnode under it for analyzers. So analyzers is a new feature that we've added to both of the languages that's built on the
You and I are going to
Blossom.
do an entire show on that.
Yes, we are.
In a while.
And
It'll be a while, a couple months probably, but we're going to do a whole show on
months,
that.
days, weeks, years,
Yeah.
one of those. Analyzes this great feature. Visual Basic has always had, this great live error system where, if you type a program wrong for some reason, if I go in here and I misspell radius, which, wouldn't happen because we have IntelliSense, but, it's got this great feature where it shows you a live squiggle, and you can kind of hit Control Dot, and it will go and suggest all of these fixes that you can do, none of which is actually the appropriate fix. But we've expanded that out so that it's more than just the compiler team or the IDE team who's able to write these great features. Now you can write your own. You can actually write extensibility to plug in the compiler that finds common programming mistakes that aren't necessarily errors,
Right.
like, I don't know, misspelling a word in the name of a method.
Or enforcing capitalization or naming conventions.
Exactly.
If you wanted to do something like that.
Any type of style convention.
Yeah.
Fortunately, VB has escaped the brace wars of the C# and C++ curly brace languages, but there are still tons of things that we VB developers can argue about,
Right.
and now we can use these analyzers to enforce our will. So between analyzers and quick fixes, we've opened that system up so that it's anybody can now contribute to that great experience that we've kind of built there. The last thing I want to say that's really excited about the IDE, I've shown you some features that are good for code editing, but I spend a lot of my time actually debugging existing applications. I don't know about you guys, but I have to maintain, well, a compiler. But maintaining applications is a big part of my day-to-day, and that means debugging. And we've made some serious improvements to debugging in Visual Studio 2015 based on community request. So let's just roll back a little bit here.
You could switch to the other project with the list of patients if you wanted to.
Actually, that might be a little rich, because then it's going to show some of the improvements. So
the other project.
there's so many projects here.
Sorry. Module 1 here.
Yeah, we should call that module 2. So actually, the first thing I'm going to do, let's say that I had taken that argument exception and left that in there, and it had blown up. I want to go and figure out, well, where things go wrong. So I start debugging. Set that as the startup project. There we go. All right. So I get to this point here, and I know that I've got this list of patients, and I just want to go examine it in the watch window or the immediate window. And so I can just say, okay, patients. And that gives me 6. But let's say this is a list of hundreds of patients, and I can't really tell, which one is null. Well, I could go scanning through and looking for the one that says nothing, which is easy enough to find. But, being
Or what you could just do is, in your code, write the query to get what you want, and then leave it in there.
Yeah, I could totally.
time.
Yeah, I could use edit continue to say, like, which one is null equals from P in patient, where P is nothing, and come back here and set next statement. Oh, darn. Resolve the ambiguity. Let's put it here. All right, so I've come here, and I don't think this is actually that good of a demo, now that I think about it, just because it's just going to come back with null, and we'll find out if there was any. And if there wasn't, then we still get null. But let's take it anyway. Step, which is not F10.
It's up here. And it is F10, but you have to press the function key on this Surface Pro one.
Oh man, there we go. Yeah. All right, and so it correctly produces this iterator, which if we go and we start examining the results, you know, has a single element in it, which is nothing.
That's pretty much the ideal workflow.
Yeah, that's how you do it. But something I didn't notice until you mentioned that.
For people who are paid by the hour.
You know, when I started this out, I wanted to show a different feature, but when you mentioned that, I decided to do it because something that I took for granted when I just did this was that you can't write a link query at edit and continue time in 2013. That's actually new in 2015.
No, you have to actually stop.
You have to stop.
Right.
Anytime that you use link or lambdas, you have to stop your debugging session. In 2015, we actually improved edit and continue so that you could actually add these simple queries at debug time if you wanted
that's perfect.
to. Or any
so
lambda expression.
I don't have to stop the program anymore to go write the temporary query inside my code to be able to look at a variable at runtime. I can, the setup here?
I can actually do this. I can actually do you one better. You don't even have to write the temporary code. You can just pop in here, and you can actually paste that into the debugging window, and we can actually run that lambda in the watch window.
Or the immediate window, too,
If you're one of those immediate window types, you can paste that in there.